It's October, guys. The regular season's almost here. Preseason is just a few days away. Training camp just around the corner. It's October. I love this month. Want to know why? Because basketball is officially coming back, and that for me is a thing to celebrate. And for Tom Thibodeau, this is a time where he goes around the NBA and he might make some appearances where you can ask him questions. And recently, he was spotted at a Coastal Association meeting in Chicago. And NBA.com caught up with him and asked him a few questions about what he thought about the New York Knicks offseason. We're going to look at those comments. We're also going to look at the New York Post recent article as they were looking at which New York Knicks player is going to be the key for the Knicks to take that next step in the playoffs. And the one player they identified was none other than Julius Randle. We'll see what they wrote and why they believe Randle is the key player for the Knicks to take that next step into greatness. We're going to break down this and so much more today on the Knicks Digest. As mentioned at the top of the show, Tom Thibodeau was recently spotted at a Coaches Association meeting in Chicago. And that's where he was followed by NBA.com and asked a few questions about the New York Knicks offseason. And he spoke out about it. He talked about what he thought about their offseason, what he thought about DiVincenzo, and things like that. So without further ado, let's break down that report. So here's exactly what the question was and what his response was. NBA.com stated the following. How are you feeling about the Knicks offseason? And here was Thibodeau's answer. Continuity is important. And we're going into year 4. We are young. That's the best thing about our team, that you can continue to get better. We are looking forward to the development of the guys we do have. Getting the experience from last year was very beneficial to us, but we have to understand it's a new year and we have to start over again. Adding Donte DiVincenzo is great for us. He's a great team guy. He'll fit in seamlessly. That last part right there tells me everything I needed to know about the Donte DiVincenzo situation. If anybody thought he was just added potentially to play a few minutes here and there, it doesn't sound like that. Sounds like he fits in seamlessly. Sounds like he's going to get a lot of minutes. Sounds like other people are going to get some minutes reduced. Who they are, I don't know as of yet. But it does sound like Tom Thibodeau is excited about Donte and about using him as part of the lineup. But another key thing that he stated here as well too was about the fact that they were in year 4 together, that they are young and they can still get better. So it seems like for me, it looks like he's looking at development as the key thing for the New York Knicks headed into this season. And that's going to help propel them into the Eastern Conference greats, as in the number 3 spot in the East is what I'm trying to talk about. At least that's what it sounds like from Tom Thibodeau. He seems to be very, very high on the fact that his players may have came into this training camp with a lot of good experience underneath them. And maybe he's not wrong. Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Josh Hart, to an extent Quentin Grimes with the Team USA select team, all were playing, participating, and going up against high-level talent when they were in FIBA earlier this summer. So we have to talk about that and remember that. And maybe that's why Tom Thibodeau is so confident. Maybe he's thinking that development is what's going to lead this New York Knicks team to that next level, the level that they couldn't get to last year because maybe arguably they needed more time to gel and play together, especially when you make a major move for Josh Hart during the trade deadline and you still have to wonder how he gels and fits with this entire team because you got to figure with the new contract now, he's going to play a lot more minutes. He might close games. That means either Grimes or RJ Barrett may not. So one of them is going to lose minutes because of this addition. You can make the same argument with DiVincenzo. But the fact that Tom Thibodeau is looking at development, that he's happy with Donte DiVincenzo, it tells me that we might have to expect some type of shakeup with the lineup, either with the starting lineup or eventually the closing lineup. Because honestly, I can see a time where Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Donte DiVincenzo all share the floor together at the same time, closing the game. I can't tell you why I have that feeling, but just given Tom Thibodeau's comments and everything like that, that's what I'm thinking. But he didn't stop there. He also gave an update on everybody's favorite power forward, Julius Randle. So when NBA.com asked for an update on Randle and his ankle surgery that he had in June, this is what Tom Thibodeau said. Just steady progress. He's had a very good offseason. He'll be fresh and ready to go. No questions. I don't want to hear injury. I don't want to hear if he gets off to a slow start, that he's rusty, that he's injured, anything like that. No. You heard from the coach. Steady progress. He's doing well. We've seen the workout videos. I've covered them a lot. I've heard the interviews. I see him walking around. I see him practicing in the gyms. He looks fine. That ankle is healed. He is going to be ready, fresh, healthy, raring to go for training camp. Ready to go for preseason, ready to go for the regular season. He doesn't get a pass either. And I don't think he needs one. I think he's going to start off just as strong, maybe arguably even stronger, now that he knows his role with this New York Knicks team with Jalen Brunson leading the charge. I think that's only going to help and complement the New York Knicks. And I'll tell you one thing, guys, they need that chemistry a lot, and they need that development that Tom Thibodeau is talking about a lot. They have the toughest NBA schedule for a 10-game stretch to start out the season. They go against Cleveland as their first back-to-back. They got Boston. They got the Clippers. They have so many powerhouses during the first 10 games. You gotta wonder, given the shakeups with Milwaukee, with Boston, with all of these teams, you gotta wonder, do the New York Knicks have a .500 record, either above or below it, or maybe right at it after the first 10 games? It's very interesting to note. I'm interested to see where they are. But it's good to note that they're not going into the season down one of their leaders, down one of their all-stars in Julius Randle. He's going to be fresh and healthy and ready to go. So I am ready to see what this New York Knicks team does when it has all its pieces more or less, or at least the pieces that they really wanted to kind of sign and add to this team. Now that they have them, I got to see how they're utilized, and I got to see what it does to the rest of the team, because I think it's going to anger some people and then make some other people happy. That's just how it works in New York. Julius Randle, is he the answer for the New York Knicks' dream? Their dream in this situation is obviously winning a championship. Well, if you listen to the New York Post Zach Braziller's article, you might think so. Because in that article, he argues that if the Julius Randle takes that step and takes that leap for the New York Knicks, the Knicks could be the contender that everybody thinks they could be in the East. But it really and truly depends on Julius Randle. So according to Zach Braziller, he states that all eyes remain on Julius Randle. The two-time All-Star is coming off of a strong regular season and a shaky postseason. He underwent arthroscopic left ankle surgery shortly after the Knicks were eliminated in 6 games in the Eastern Conference semifinals by the Heat. He is still as important as any Knick, even with Brunson's ascension. At his best, Randle is a worthy co-star to Brunson. At his worst, he can hold the Knicks back. I absolutely agree with Zach Braziller here from the New York Post. I think at his best, Julius Randle can absolutely complement Jalen Brunson. He can be the guy that Jalen Brunson needs him to be. But at his worst, he can be an anchor for this New York Knicks team, dragging them down. ISO ball, way too long, dribble, jab, step, hold the ball, pass the ball to somebody else who's less open with 5 to 4 seconds left on the shot clock. They have to rush the shot. It doesn't look pretty. I don't like that type of offense or that type of passing from Julius Randle. And at that time, when he does that, he does become an anchor. But there are times where he shows his basketball IQ, where he passes very well, where he takes really good shots, less contested shots, where he's using his body to be that bully that we all know he can be in the paint and do exactly what we know he can do with that body and bully people and be that presence down low that we absolutely need, that we really don't have with Mitchell Robinson right now, unless you're talking about rebounds or putbacks. For somebody to could play with their back to the basket or have any type of post moves, you really have to look for Randle. And when Randle is doing that, I argue the New York Knicks are even more deadly. But in order for him to do that, he needs a lot more spacers around him, because Julius Randle's ISO play can only benefit the Knicks if they have proper spacers around him. proper people who can shoot the three or take people off the dribble where defenses have to go toward them. If you got players like that, the Knicks are a lot more deadly. And Zach Braziller continues here about Julius Randle, stating that Randle actually regressed in the playoffs. He's not wrong. Yes, he was dealing with an ankle injury, but his defensive effort was lacking, and the ankle didn't seem to bother him on the offensive end when it came to getting up shots. Where's the lies? He's not wrong. I remember seeing this and saying the exact same thing. I know his ankle was hurt, but why could he do those things on offense and not on defense? Did it hurt more on defense than it did on offense? I'm just not sure. But what I can say is very, very clear. Julius Randle needs to adopt a little bit of a different play style heading into next season. I said it before, I'll say it again. If Julius Randle becomes a pass-first player for this New York Knicks team, they're not only different, they become that Knicks team that has a lot more assists, which I think a lot of people would argue the Knicks need, but they become more dangerous. And don't tell me that Julius Randle cannot become an all-star if he sacrifices 5 to 6 points, let's say gets 17 points, and has 8 or 9 assists. If he does that, he can still have a bid for all-star, and I think he'd get it. That's how dominant of a player he would be if he started passing the ball like that, because there are not a lot of big men, let alone power forwards, who can do that. Thus far, especially according to Zach Braziller, and I agree with him, he hasn't been able to be that player that New York Knicks fans can count on. If he can turn into that, this Knicks team will give any team a ride for his money on any given night, regardless of who you are. That's how good Julius Randle could be if he's focused, locked in, and doing everything we need him to do each and every night. There's a lot of ifs, a lot of maybes there. But if he can figure it all out, this Knicks team can absolutely utilize it. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. My name is Troy. I'm with Knicks Digest. I'm out of here, guys. Peace.